What happens when the faces that once brought magic, danger, and teenage rebellion to our screens are now just echoes of the past? Buffy the Vampire Slayer wasn't just a show, it was a cultural moment, a supernatural saga that shaped a generation. But behind the vampires, the Hellmouth, and the witty one-liners, tragedy has touched the cast.
All my life, one person's kept me safe in Sunnydale, but she's gone. Now, it's up to me to stay alive.
Just recently, we lost Michelle Trachtenberg, who played Buffy's younger sister, Dawn. She passed away at only 39 years old, and she's not the only one. Several members of the Buffy family are no longer with us. Today, we remember the Buffy the Vampire Slayer cast actors who are no longer with us. When Angel spun off from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the brooding vampire wasn't alone in his new mission. Enter Doyle, half human, half demon, and full of tortured charm. Quinn played him with a soulful depth, delivering cryptic visions from the powers that be and grounding Angel's world in compassion. But just 9 episodes in, Doyle made the ultimate sacrifice, disappearing from the series, but never from the fandom's heart. Before Angel, Glenn had already found fame as Mark Healy on Roseanne, and even made his screen debut as a pool hustler in Richard Marx's Satisfied music video. But behind the camera, Quinn was battling demons of his own. On December 3rd, 2002, he was found dead at just 32 years old, his life cut short by a heroin overdose in North Hollywood. Years later, David Boreanaz remembered him simply, a really close friend. God rest his soul. What happens when life imitates the horror we act out on screen? In Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 2 episode, Some Assembly Required, Angelo Spizzeri stepped into the role of Chris Epps, a grief-stricken teen who, in true Frankenstein fashion, resurrects his dead brother with help from a friend obsessed with building him the perfect bride. It was a creepy, unforgettable debut, and Spizzeri's first professional credit. He went on to appear in Sliders, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and eventually The Rookie, 2002, where he played catcher Joel De La Garza. But while his star was quietly rising, something darker lingered behind the scenes. In October 2007, Spizzeri passed away. The cause wasn't widely publicized at the time. Years later, a co-star revealed he had passed from actions of his own. He was remembered with deep affection. "I miss him dearly," Chad Lindbergh wrote, "and think of him all the time." He was 32 years old, a life far too brief and a talent gone too soon. When Angel returned for Season 2, it brought with it a splash of green, a spark of sass, and a soul reader named Lorne. Played by Andy Howlet, Lorne wasn't just comic relief. He was empathy incarnate, reading the hearts of demons and humans alike through karaoke performances at his bar, Caritas. What fans didn't know? The role was written for Howlet. After seeing him light up a karaoke stage, Joss Whedon knew he'd found magic. Though new to acting, Howlet was so good, he went from guest star to series regular by Season 4. His filmography stayed small but powerful. A blink and you'll miss it cameo in Buffy's Hush was one of his few roles outside Angel. Tragically, near the end of the show's run, Howlet was diagnosed with congestive heart disease. It took him away from the spotlight, and then, in March 2009, it took his life. He was just 33. A voice silenced too soon, but one that still echoes in the hearts of fans.
Well, I was 3 years old when I got into acting, so at that point in my life, it was about, I wanted to be the little girl to brush Barbie's hair on the commercials. I just thought that was the coolest thing.
Michelle Trachtenberg's arrival in Buffy the Vampire Slayer flipped everything upside down. As Dawn Summers, Buffy's suddenly there little sister, she sparked instant confusion and controversy.
You want to come steal some stuff?
Yeah, all right.
Fans were baffled. Who was this teen no one had mentioned before? But there was purpose behind the chaos. Dawn was the key, a mystical force made flesh, with false memories sewn into everyone around her. Yet beneath the cosmic weight, she was still a teenager, navigating school, love, and the shadows of her sister's world. Michelle had already been acting for years, starring in Harriet the Spy and other kid-friendly hits. Post-Buffy, she embraced darker roles: Eurotrip, Black Christmas, Gossip Girl's scheming Georgina Sparks, proving she could balance sweetness with steel. Michelle Trachtenberg is the most recent loss among the Buffy family. She passed away on February 26, 2025 in New York City. She was just 39. Her light flickered through worlds both real and imagined, and left a mark that won't fade. What if your biggest scene ended with a unicorn and a stake through the heart? In Buffy the Vampire Slayer's Season 5 episode Real Me, Harmony's ragtag vampire gang proves more laughable than lethal, until Mort shows up. Played by Turk, Mort was the muscle, towering, menacing, and ready to lead when Harmony's hesitation got in the way. But Buffy's not one to let things spiral. She storms in, wipes out the vamps, and takes down Mort with a particularly poetic weapon, a wooden unicorn horn. Turk's appearance on Buffy was brief but unforgettable. As a working character actor, he brought that same presence to shows like ER, 90210, and 2.5 Men, along with film roles in The Lost World, Jurassic Park, American Pie 2, and AI. But his most lasting impression came on HBO's Carnival, where he played Gabriel, the strongman with a quiet soul. Turk passed away in September 2019 after a battle with cancer. He was 49, a gentle giant whose roles always left an impact. What if the perfect man turned out to be anything but human? In Buffy the Vampire Slayer's Season 2 episode Ted, Buffy meets her mom's new boyfriend. Charming, polite, maybe too perfect. Played by John Ritter, Ted wins over everyone but Buffy, who sees the cracks beneath the smile. He's controlling, cruel in private, and soon physically threatening. But the real twist? Ted isn't a monster. He's a machine. A robot copy built by a grieving genius decades ago.
Buffy?
Ritter, best known for his lovable role in Three's Company, flipped the script in Buffy, delivering a performance that was as chilling as it was unexpected. By 2002, he'd returned to sitcom stardom with 8 Simple Rules, proving his talent for both comedy and drama. But on September 11, 2003, Ritter collapsed during rehearsal. Though doctors initially suspected a heart attack, it was later revealed to be an aortic dissection. He died during emergency surgery. He was 54, a comedy legend, and for one unforgettable episode, a terrifying villain. Rest in peace. Ever seen a face you swear you've seen 100 times but can't place the name? In Buffy the Vampire Slayer's pivotal Season 2 episode, Surprise, chaos erupts. Angel changes, Jenny Calendar's secret surface, and Enyos arrives with a dire warning. Played by Vincent Skavelli, Enyos is Jenny's uncle and a member of the Romani clan responsible for cursing Angel with a soul. But by innocence, it's too late. Angel's darker half returns and silences Enyos before the truth can fully unfold. Schiavelli was the ultimate character actor. With his haunting features and commanding screen presence, he left his mark in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and Ghost, where he taught a spirit how to bend the laws of physics on a New York subway. In 1997, he even went toe-to-toe with James Bond in Tomorrow Never Dies. Vincent Schiavelli died of lung cancer in Italy in December 2005. He was 57, gone too soon but never forgotten by those who knew the face behind the magic. What happens when the monster you're chasing isn't who lives behind the door? In Season 1's Teacher's Pet, Xander finds himself smitten with a new substitute, glamorous, mysterious, and not so human. Buffy soon uncovers the truth. She's an insect demon out for blood, but when the Scooby Gang tracks her to her supposed home, they're met instead by the real Natalie French, an elderly, gentle woman played by Jean Spiegel Howard. It was a small scene, but one delivered with warmth and wit. Jean wasn't just an actress, she was Hollywood royalty. The mother of Clint Howard and director Ron Howard, she helped shape a creative dynasty. On screen, she stood out in roles like Jim Lovell's mother in Apollo 13 and a gun-slinging Mrs. Claus in Scrooged. She even had a cheeky moment on Roseanne, strolling casually through her home, windows wide open. Jean Spiegel Howard passed away in September 2000 from heart and respiratory illness. She was 73, forever part of one of Hollywood's most enduring families. What happens when the voice of reason gets fed to the monsters? In Buffy the Vampire Slayer's Season 2 episode Go Fish, Katara Frell plays Nurse Ruth Greenlee, supportive, practical, and trying to do the right thing. When the Sunnydale swim team starts mutating into scaly sea creatures, Greenlee pleads with the coach to stop his twisted experiment. His response? He feeds her to the very monsters she tried to save. It was a one-episode role, but Frell made it count, just like she did with everything. From the short-lived Norman Lear sitcom Hot L Baltimore to Emmy-nominated turns on L.A. Law, she brought grit and soul to every part. But she was best known as Berta, the sharp-tongued housekeeper who kept 2.5 men in line, earning 2 Emmy nods and a place in TV history. Katara Frell died in October 2020 after cardiac arrest. She was 77, a beloved talent who made every line, no matter how small, unforgettable. Though the Hellmouth is closed and the series has ended, the legacy of Buffy the Vampire Slayer lives on. These cast members gave us moments we'll never forget, from epic battles to quiet heartbreaks, and even in death, their light still echoes through the fandom. Michelle Trachtenberg's recent passing at just 39 is a tragic reminder that even our brightest stars can fade too soon. Which character or actor left the deepest impact on you? Let us know in the comments. And if you'd like more tributes and behind-the-scenes stories, be sure to like and subscribe. The fight may be over, but the memory of these actors will always slay. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and stay watching.